On November 14th, 2024, following months of rumors and speculation, Six Flags Great Adventure shocked the world by announcing the permanent closure of Kingda Ka. Worse yet, the official announcement followed the seasonal closure of the park, leaving coaster enthusiasts without the opportunity of one last ride. Let's talk about the fate of Kingda Ka, the former tallest coaster in the world, and the king that marked the conclusion of the infamous Coaster Wars, here on That Park Place. As everybody knows, Kingda Ka inexplicably closed, to the surprise of many in the coaster community, late last year. And, there were some people who were saying, no, there's no possible way this is closing. There's no possible way to get rid of it. Yes, there is, especially under new management. Now with Cedar Fair having been merged with Six Flags, and we know the Cedar Fair people are pretty much running the operation at this point. They are very familiar with these type of stratosphere coasters right here, and yes, they are very, very maintenance heavy. And so, following the closure of Kingda Ka, we actually got a video today of its implosion, which is very, very sad. Again, this was, I think, the epitome or the final hurrah of the Coaster Wars. Such a prolific time in the coaster community and the coasters here, at least in America.
Oh my!
The history, and it is very, very sad. We kind of know why. We have a better understanding as to why this was removed, but it's still heartbreaking to see something that was just a triumph in engineering and a fan favorite for so long be unceremoniously removed from this park here. It's very sad.
I was gonna say, as somebody who grew up going to Six Flags Great Adventure in Jackson, New Jersey, Kingda Ka, it had its time. They couldn't open it if the wind was a certain level, because it was just too tall. It was a marvel when it was created, but I think its time had come. I was not sad to see it go.
If that's a fair point.
Yeah, in Vash, there's a larger conversation we've been having in the background about this entire thing. This is where we don't necessarily talk about coasters or other parks that often on the channel, because either the timing is not right or Disney is just all up in it, and we're kind of gearing up to talk about Epic Universe a lot more. It's been an opportunity to speak positively about theme parks that has not been there so much over the last year. But I've put this theory out on other videos when we talked about Top Thrill 2 and the fact that shut down pretty quick. Kingda Ka, obviously not functioning anymore, definitely not functioning anymore. And I bet some nut job would be like, oh, you're offering rides during the implosion? I want to be the one to do that. Yes, please, go ahead. Let me ride it while it explodes or something ridiculous like that. The Ferrari coaster, Formula One, I think, when we were reporting on Top Thrill 2, that was also down, and it's just recently come back up. In fact, I was not aware of this until we started doing research for this story that the Formula Rossa opens at Ferrari World. Sorry, I said the name wrong. After 11 months of closure, I had assumed it was still down, but we have many roller coasters that are in that highest, fastest, or in the case of Formula Rossa, I think it was highest and fastest, maybe, that are having extreme issues on maintenance. And I don't know if this is something where people are just trying to do this quickly or as cost effective as possible. I'm trying not to use the word cheap, but because you got people's lives at stake when they're moving that fast and that high. But I'm wondering if there's an engineering problem or if there's a physics problem here in getting people moving this fast, this high, on a regular basis mechanically. So I don't know. I don't know if that's something that we have a larger discussion to have at this point, but there it is, Kingda Ka on the ground.
Well, so at least for Kingda Ka, it was part of kind of like it was almost like a prototype coaster in a way. At least followed a couple of prototype coasters before it. It was definitely looking for records and not necessarily experience, which I think the coaster enthusiast community has kind of changed their thinking and mind process on that. I think for the better of coaster experiences. But I know that some of these coasters, they relied on really, frankly, outdated technology like hydraulic launches, and now we know that Intamin has switched over almost exclusively to LSM launches, and so that might have something to do with it. This was a very, very big maintenance item for this park, and I think Cedar Fair looking to remove as many costs as possible from these parks and to operate more efficiently. I think they were looking at it, and just the justification wasn't there, especially for how many people could actually get on this, because it was subject to a lot of downtime as well. So for all those operational concerns, I think that's what did this in here. But I do look at something like Falcon's Fury, for example, at the Kingda Park, and I just look and I go, wow, I mean, do we get something like that in the States, just given how difficult it is in order to get people up to those speeds, like you said, Jonas, and to maintain a ride that is larger than any of us can kind of possibly imagine.
Marvin, I know that you are not necessarily a coaster freak. Do any of these things tempt you in any way?
Six Flags Great Adventure, it holds a special place in my heart. It is the first place I ever went on a roller coaster in my life. I have Great American Scream Machine, which was later turned into Green Lantern. That was the day I also did Superman's Ultimate Flight, which was just a transformative experience. While I might not enjoy them as much now that I'm older and going upside down screws with my equilibrium, there is a definite need for them in the theme park industry, and I think it helps these smaller parks, these Six Flags parks, kind of stand out apart from the Disneys and the Universals, who they can't match on a financial level, by offering these kinds of experiences. And Six Flags at least has the DC properties, which they do use to the best of their ability. A lot of that is repainting roller coasters and just slapping a name on it, but
right.
That Joker coaster they put in Great Adventure was the most ridiculous looking thing I'd ever seen in my life. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely there's a need for these, I think.
I agree. There's a certain amount here. By the way, we were comparing because one of those Superman coasters, not the Superman's Ultimate Flight, but I think it's called. It was not originally Superman's Escape from Krypton, but the current name is Superman's Escape from Krypton. That technically moves up in the rankings of tallest, fastest, with Kingda Ka going out. Which, by the way, I think I've actually managed to pronounce Kingda Ka correctly, even though it looks like Dhaka. So fascinating, this entire thing.
This coaster right here is so infamous, because I remember going to Six Flags Magic Mountain expecting to go on this coaster, and yet it was down for so long, and its history didn't open on schedule. It was infamously delayed in its opening and so forth because it had so many problems. Coasters are definitely feats of engineering and economy, obviously, in order to get them built for these smaller scale parks that can't afford like the big budgets like Disney or Universal. Hey, they're tracking El Toro in that same park right there. So there's some commitment, especially from theme park companies like Six Flags now, to offer these experiences. But it's just sad when we lose one as noteworthy as Kingda Ka.
I'll tell you. I'll tell you what is more my speed right now. I got to go visit this one. It's insane, the design of this roller coaster. But this is good gravy at Holiday World. It is not the best roller coaster in the world. The entire experience, I think, is like 15 seconds. I mean, it is minimal, but you're riding in a gravy boat, and the premise is that you're at a family's long-standing annual gravy competition or something like that. Yeah.
I love the gravy boat, honestly. I remember seeing the coaster cars at IAAPA, and they were making a big thing about it. I just love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, and when I told you that I had ridden the Voyage, which I was expecting to be a wooden jackhammer the entire way through the ride, you're like, oh, that's amazing, because that ride goes for like 2.5 minutes straight and does not stop the entire time. I thought for sure they had to have dug like half a mile into the ground with how often that thing descended and how quickly it goes. Smooth as butter, smooth as gravy, by the way.
Well maintained by Holiday World, by the way. Yeah. And the coast community finds that as one of its top wooden coasters out there. Sorry, go ahead.
This one, you end up in a pile of masked potatoes. I know you meant mashed potatoes, but I thought that was a hilarious typo there. Or maybe they are masked potatoes. You don't know where they've come from.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media account.